it's kind of an unexpected pairing because they both can occupy the same kind of frequency range, you know? So usually you like to have one instrument way down low, one instrument way up high, and you kind of fill in the rest with the other instruments. But the cello and trombone occupy similar places on the sound spectrum, so you don't normally combine the two that way. Except that we're about to hear a whole group of bands who do just that. I'm John Schaefer. On this edition of New Sounds, we'll hear the trombone and the cello, both of which, by the way, are quite capable of playing loud and really rockin', as we will hear. And just so that you violin and viola fans don't feel left out, we'll hear the trombone with those instruments as well in one piece. But let's get started with a Finnish band called Odoraang. This is an ensemble of guitar, bass, and drums with, yes, cello and trombone. It's a quintet. And we're going to hear a piece called Self-Portrait, which gets into a kind of, it starts acoustic and by the end is into a big, grand kind of post-rock thing from this Finnish band, Odoraang. Then we'll move to Denmark and a quartet called Flood, which is led by the composer Nikolai Soderman, and features a number of guest artists who form a kind of choir, but also play instruments. And one of them, Andreas Felipe Dominguez Simonsen, plays both the trombone and the cello, which I don't think I've ever seen before. But there it is. And so we'll hear a piece from them called Yoki, from this band called Flood, F-L-O-D, out of Denmark. First, from Finland, here's Odoraang and their quintet of guitar, bass, drums, cello, and trombone. music from Denmark there, from a quartet called Flood, F-L-O-D, and a piece called Yoki, which features not just the four main members of this Danish band, but a small choir, all of whom also play instruments, and one of whom plays both the trombone and the cello. So we got to hear the trombone at the same time as the violin. I'm not sure, I kind of doubt we would have heard the same musician playing the cello and the trombone simultaneously, but they're in there. They're in that piece by the band called Flood. Before that, we heard the Finnish group called Odorang, and they are a quintet of cello, trombone, guitar, bass, and drums. And it sounds like everybody is amplified by the end of the piece we heard, which is called Self-Portrait from Odorang. So they're from Finland, Flood is from Denmark, and we'll turn next in our search for bands that have both a cello and a trombone to Italy. And a singer known as Flo, F-L-O, here singing in French. The song is Ça ne tient pas la route. It doesn't hold water, is the translation. And working with the arranger and producer Ernesto Nobili, she's come up with this kind of chamber pop group that includes both the cello and the trombone, as well as the charango, which is a South American guitar instrument usually made out of an armadillo shell. So there's lots of odd sounds here. Also more conventional things like guitar, bass, and percussion. Let's hear the song, Ça ne tient pas la route. This is music from Flo.
Quand le monde est trop rond et tout cherche l'équilibre, quand il tourne vite et tout n'y arrive jamais, ça ne tient pas la route. Ça ne tient pas la route. Tu marches distraitement et agité. L'avant sous je suis encore de la poussière. Ça ne tient pas la route. Ça ne tient pas la route. Viens me chercher. Apporte-moi un peu de lumière. Cherche-moi bien que de l'amour je ne parle pas bien. Quand les gens ne t'écoutent pas, quand les gens mentent, chaque fois qu'ils rient, fasse la langue qui pleure. Ça ne tient pas la route.
everything in there. Some South American charango, the toy piano, as well as the cello and the trombone. This unexpected musical instrument combination that keeps cropping up in the pieces we're hearing on tonight's edition of New Sounds. Not that it's a surprise. I mean, that was the intent of this edition of the show, which I blame on the New Sounds staff of one, Karen Havlick. This was her idea. That song comes from the Italian singer Flo, just F-L-O, singing in French here. The song is Ça ne tient pas la route, It Doesn't Hold Water. Working with Ernesto Nobili, a noted Italian arranger and producer, and yeah, the ensemble sounds great, but it doesn't sound like anything else. Still to come, the trombone and the cello with electronics in an African music setting, and lots more. I'm John Schaefer, and you're listening to New Sounds.
At WNYC, we're thankful for our sustaining members, thousands of listeners who contribute to WNYC every month. If you're already a sustainer, thank you. Your ongoing monthly support is what allows WNYC to bring you the fearless journalism that is so vital to our democracy. Not a sustaining member yet? Become one today by calling 888-376-WNYC or visit WNYC.org and click on Donate. WNYC is supported by Columbia University's Masters in Construction Administration, offering both part and full-time students the opportunity to learn from current leaders who serve as experienced resources. sps.columbia.edu/build.
WNYC, independent journalism in the public interest. 93.9 FM and AM 820, NPR News and the New York Conversation.
Tomorrow night on New Sounds, a touch of jazz. There's more than a hint of it in this band called Eyot, E-Y-O-T, a quartet that recorded their album with the legendary producer Steve Albini, who is best known for having produced records by Nirvana and the Pixies and PJ Harvey and so many others. So now he's made a record with this quartet. We'll hear from them. We'll hear from the trumpeter and bandleader Christian Scott Atunde Adjua. We'll hear some music from Bad Bad Not Good, the quartet from Toronto, with special guest sax player Colin Stetson, and the trumpeter from Norway, Arve Henriksen, who often changes and alters the sound of his instrument with electronics. So this is music that incorporates elements of rock and world music and electronics and lots more, but still has at least one foot in the jazz world. We'll hear all of that tomorrow night at 11. That's our next edition of New Sounds here at 93.9 FM, WNYC. This is New Sounds, program number 3789. A handy number to have if you find yourself in the future needing a playlist of pieces for cello and trombone, and then you can find this show in our audio archives. The next recording we're going to hear is probably the one that sparked the idea when Karen was sorting through the CDs that come into the New Sounds office. It's this Cameroonian guitarist, occasional banjo player, and singer named Blick Bassy, B-A-S-S-Y, now based in France. And he put together a trio with a cellist and a trombonist, intending to do arrangements of the music of Skip James, but if the Delta Bluesman's ghost sort of hovers over this recording, it's at a distance. It's a recording of contemporary songs that Blick Bassy came up with for the occasion, singing in a couple of different languages. The first song that we'll hear is called Njm, and at the end of the set we'll hear him singing at least partially in English with a song called Tell Me. In between those two, from the Cameroonian singer, we will hear some music from the Sevens Project out of Canada. This is a composers consortium of sorts, based in Montreal, and they have a core ensemble, which they then add on to. So there's a trio of string players and a quartet of horn players, among them a cello and a trombone. I'm not sure how much cello we're getting in the piece called She Imagined Imposing Castles. The trombone I'm hearing for sure. But then in the second of the Blick Bassi pieces, you can hear the cello quite clearly. It's way in the foreground, and it's the trombone that you really, even though it's just a trio, you really have to listen closely to hear it kind of filling in the harmonies way underneath. So the first song, though, you'll hear both instruments pretty much as equals. From Blick Bassi, a song called NJM on New Sounds.
Jane.